Hi, students, how are you doing? Welcome to Naya. Sing awesome Naya, and thank you all so much for all the love and support. Hope you all are doing great. So I came across this video and I thought that I share it with us because I never knew about this woman. I'm just like, this is my first time. And also getting to know about her accomplishment and how hard she fought so for Black people and other people of color, right? Because she felt like, what is life without Black? Like, what is the essence of we having something and other people are not having it? So everything she worked towards was making sure that she fought for us and for other people of color, right? And while I was going through it, because I never heard of her, I never knew anything about her, and people were also like, trying to compare her life and her activism to Kamala Harris. So some people were like, oh my God, that her mother, like, voted for her during the period. I think under Democrat during the period she was campaigning, and that she also kept the sign in her house, but they already trashed it. And looking at it, you can see how determined, how strong, and how passionate she was for her own people. Though she had so many obstacles. Number one was that being a Black woman running for president, right? It was like just a different thing. People doesn't want to sit around her. All know that discrimination back then, 1972. Sincerely speaking, nothing really changed from 1972 to this very moment. Just that some certain things really evolved. And I really wish I can see her and tell her, ma'am, you fought so hard, but nothing really changed that much. Let's get into this video.
So in this video, I will be doing what I normally do. Hurt somebody's feelings. Because their feelings are rooted in racism, bigotry, and rocket raccoonery. So let's get to it. This is the incomparable, great, spectacular, iconic, I cannot think of enough adjectives to describe Shirley Chisholm. Shirley Chisholm just didn't represent the interest of her district in New York when she was a United States representative. She represented the interests of marginalized groups and Black people wherever she went. And in spite of all of the racism and misogyny she encountered at every step, she still became the first Black woman to seek the nomination for a major party's political candidate for president, the Democratic Party, in 1972. Now, a lot of what I'm saying people learned during Black History Month in this country. But the hypocrisy of some of the same people that celebrate all those things about this Black woman called Shirley Chisholm are now some of the same people questioning the Blackness of Kamala Harris. See, just like Kamala Harris, Shirley Chisholm was the daughter of immigrants. Her mother, Ruby Seal, was born in Christchurch, Barbados in 1901. And her father, Charles Christopher St. Hill, was born in 1899 in the British West Indies, and they immigrated to America where he married Ruby Seal and produced Shirley Anita Chisholm. In 1972, Shirley Chisholm lost her bid to be the Democratic Party's nominee for President of the United States because of racism and misogyny. And some of the same criticisms being launched at Kamala Harris about her experience, her education, and her readiness to be president were launched at Shirley Chisholm, in spite of the fact that her experience and her readiness and her education exceeded those of the white men who were seeking the nomination also. Let this sink in, that the same racists and bigots and rocket raccoons that are questioning the Blackness of Kamala Harris based upon her parents being immigrants are literally the same people that every February during Black History Month talk about Shirley Chisholm as the first Black woman to seek the nomination of a major political party for president of the United States. Let that sink in. So, I made a video earlier today on the spectacular black icon of black excellence, Shirley Chisholm, and how she, like Kamala Harris, is the daughter of immigrants. And I also pointed out in that video how the same people that are questioning Kamala Harris's blackness are the same people that celebrate Shirley Chisholm every year during Black History Month as the first black woman to seek the nomination of a major political party for President of the United States. And you can go back and watch that video. But then looking in the comment section, I realized how little people know about Shirley Chisholm and her run in 1972 for the office of President of the United States, and how she was portrayed by the women's movement and black politicians. So let's get into it. And I think I'll file this under a throwback for me to the unwhitewashing of history. Today's subject, 1972 and the political campaign of Shirley Anita Chisholm for President of the United States. Now, before we talk about the betrayal that Shirley Chisholm experienced from the women's movement in 1972 during her run for the Democratic nomination for President of the United States, understand that in 1971, Shirley Chisholm co-founded the National Women's Political Caucus, along with Bella Abzug, who in 1971, at the time that the National Women's Political Caucus was formed, she was a United States representative representing New York's 19th Congressional District. With Gloria Steinem, the face of the feminist movement in the late 60s and early 70s in this country, who famously went undercover as a Playboy bunny in 1963 to expose how women were treated by Hugh Hefner in Playboy clubs across the country. She also co-founded the feminist magazine Miss in 1972. And Betty Friedan, who in 1966 co-founded the National Organization of Women, or NOW, and served as its first president till she stepped down in 1970. Now, in August of 1970, Betty Friedan here was one of the co-organizers of the Women's Strike for Equity in this country on the 50th anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States that gave women the right to vote, and also broadened the feminist movement in a way that it hadn't seen until then. Now, you would think as a co-founder of the National Women's Political Caucus, along with those other women, that it would be a no-brainer that they would support Shirley Chisholm in her bid for the Democratic nomination for President of the United States. And you would be wrong. See, Bella Abzug here, she never formally endorsed Shirley Chisholm. And superfeminist Gloria Steinem, she qualified her support for Shirley Chisholm by saying George McGovern, the man who went on to get the nomination and who she actively campaigned for, was the best male of the candidates. And just like so many so-called white liberal allies, when Gloria Steinem was confronted about this semi-endorsement of Shirley Chisholm by Shirley Chisholm on a Chicago radio station years later, Gloria Steinem expressed regrets for her decision. But Shirley Chisholm was no stranger to being betrayed by so-called white women allies or mistreated by men in power within her own party. Listen at her talk about how she was received when she first stepped into the United States House of Representatives, in her own words.
For the first 2 to 3 months, I was miserable. The gentleman did not pay me any mind at all. When I would go to the lunchroom to eat, they would not sit at the same table as I did because I was a black woman.
Now, I have more of the interview with Shirley Chisholm talking about her journey in her own words. And if you'd like to hear it, let me know in the comment section and I'll either post it to my YouTube channel or schedule a live and we can listen to it together. Now, back to our story. Now, besides the betrayal of the so-called feminist movement leadership in this country that she helped co-found, some of the most stinging betrayal came from black politicians like Ron Dillums here, co-founder of the Congressional Black Caucus. Understand the hypocrisy of Ron here, because Shirley Chisholm announced her candidacy in Brooklyn in January of 1972 by stating emphatically that she was not just a candidate for Black America, even though she was proud to be black, and neither was she just a candidate for women, even though she was equally proud to be a woman. Ron here, the founder of the Congressional Black Caucus, that Shirley Chisholm was a member of, by the way, still questioned, was Shirley Chisholm a candidate for Black America or for women, while throwing his support behind a white man. Now, if you don't share anything else I say in this video, I would like you to put the following part on loop and play it and tag those who fall into the category I'm about to speak about. The same anger, resentment, and skepticism rooted in misogyny that Kamala Harris faces today from little black boys masquerading as black men is the same thing that Shirley Chisholm faced in 1972. And even though she did not win the nomination, she stared it down with the intensity and grace only befitting a queen of her status. And I am just scratching the surface in this unwhitewashing of history, the Shirley Anita Chisholm edition. If you would like more, let me know also in the comment section. So today is Sunday, my reading day. And before I started, I was minding my own black-ass business, scrolling through the comment section on the video I had just posted about Shirley Chisholm and how she, like Kamala Harris, was the daughter of immigrants. And I come across this stupid-ass post that I'm supposing the person thought that we were supposed to just say okay and continue to just go on with our day, because this stupid ass person said that I'm still voting for Kamala Harris. So let's look at this comment in its entirety. I love this story from history. I learned about Chisholm a few years ago. Respectfully, while I will be voting for Harris, she is in fact Indian. She only identified as black when she ran for VP. And now, as a presidential candidate, she is proudly black. Her father wasn't black. He was dark-skinned Indian. She identified as South Asian until then. Why she can't just be that? Because of politics. That's why, either way, she's the right candidate. Just let it be that simple. Hello, Madam President. I congratulate you. Now, this person follows me, and they should know how this is going to end. Because if they followed me, they wouldn't have made that stupid-ass comment in the first place that I have debunked several times. But you know what? I got time before I start reading. So let's get it. Now, Joseph Biden selected Kamala Harris to be his vice president and running mate in August of 2020. And if I could go back just a couple of days before that and prove that Kamala Harris has identified as black, then this would be a moot argument because she identified as black before she was chosen to be Joe Biden's vice presidential running mate, right? But no, I'm going to do way better than that because I made time. Let's get it. Now, I could take the low-hanging fruit and pull up an article saying, meet Kamala Harris, the second black woman elected to the United States Senate. And this article is dated November of 2016. But they're just going to move the goalposts, so we could do better than that. I could go to the Congressional Black Caucus membership roster from 2016 and show that Kamala Harris, circled here, is present and accounted for in the Congressional Black Caucus of 2016. But no, goalposts will be moved. I could go back to like 2006 and pull up articles from the premier black magazine of the time, Ebony, in which they named Kamala Harris as one of the most influential black Americans. Yeah, I could do that. I can go back 14 years before she even became vice president of this country to 2006 at a Black Emerging Leaders Conference talking about the state of the Black Union, where Kamala Harris, as the district attorney at the time, was discussing the need for criminal reform from the black perspective, hence emerging black leaders. But you know what? Why don't I let you listen to her talk about her blackness and that perspective, because you're just going to pick the goalpost up and move it somewhere else because this doesn't come in pop-up book form.
He cares about the fact that we've got a bunch of young black and brown men in prison. That argument is not working. What I suggest we do as African Americans is own this issue in law enforcement and then define it in the way that works for us, because it is a myth to say that African Americans don't want law enforcement. We do. We want our grandmothers to be able to walk to church and be safe.
Now, I could talk about phenotypical black features, but I don't expect anybody who made such a stupid-ass comment to even understand when I talk about phenotypical black features. And here's the thing. I also don't expect anybody who's going to make a comment and be so wrong to take the time to read about Donald Harris's heritage, because it is literally everywhere now. We really need to find a way to put this shit in pop-up book form for you intellectually challenged individuals who get on Beyonce's internet in spite of facts and spew such misinformational garbage. Not only has Donald Harris and every amateur genealogical researcher out there talked about the fact that Kamala Harris's four-time paternal great-grandfather was a slave owner named Hamilton Brown, who immigrated to Jamaica from Ireland with slaves. And here's the thing. Anybody with a few working brain cells could rub them together and come up with the coherent thought of how black enslaved women were at the mercy of their white slave masters in the area of producing children. They didn't get here through immaculate conception. Now, this is the part in the video where I should digress to make sure this video stays up. But I'm in the mood to write an appeal. And I'm also in the mood to remake this whole video if that appeal fails. But I have to say that anyone who would make a comment that stupid probably thinks that the children that were fostered on Sally Hemings when she was 14 years old by a 44-year-old
This
slave
is all
master.
I got from this video, and trust me, this is very enlightening, and I love everything about this video. Why? Because I never heard of her, I never knew about her, but now I can really talk about her, right? But then while the video was going on, there is somewhere that really got me, like, where she was talking about how nobody would want to sit with her, like, when she would go to, like when she sits, everybody would absolutely disappear from her, like, space, or when she wants to eat and all that, nobody wants to it's like sit with her. And that also, like, you can imagine, like, the attitude from 1970 something, 1970, what is this? Sorry, I can't, but I will find it out. 1970, 72, if I am not mistaken, till this very moment is still the same attitude that they have. And somebody's telling me that they are going to change. I do not think so, like, and that will be any different or something like that. 1972, you know? And it's still like the same fight that Black people have been fighting till then, to like, from then to this very moment, like, I just do not understand, but like the struggle is just like very familiar and like the same thing. If I am not see, I see a lot of people in the comment section ready to enlighten me that Kamala Harris is not black, blah 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 blah. I understand it, right? But please, I am not talking about Kamala Harris now. I am talking about this Shirley, right? Her struggles. I know Kamala Harris is biracial. I understand that, right? So now I love, like, she is a very, like, she was, I don't know how to put this one, but I am like, I still feel like she is living among us, like she is still alive and all that. So pardon me to use present tense, right? And I feel like she had a very strong, remarkable, like unforgettable, poignant attributes, and also she's a great, like, a very strong woman, and she also stood up for what she, like, what she believed in, and also stood up for those that needed it. Because if you look from the video that Tina Fey like showed, you also could hear that she was not just only fighting for Black people, she was also fighting for other people of color. Now that boils down to, like, all the stories that I've been hearing, like, Black people always fighting for themselves and at the same time fighting for other people. It's very rare to see videos like, there is something going on. I mean, Black people do not fight for themselves. And I really don't know why that is. But then looking around, you definitely will understand Black people's history. Black people are not, I don't know how to say it, but do not get me wrong. Black people carry almost everybody around, like along, especially it's something that is affecting them and they see that it is affecting others. They look for a way to put themselves out and put other people out. And I mean, this did not start today, and it is still happening to this very moment. And I am always of the opinion that like, can we continue to do us this time around? Because all these years we've carried so many people out and along, and it looks like nobody carries on along, right? Can we just carry ourselves along and do what we are supposed to do to support one another? See, I am not saying if you want to support somebody or if you are supporting anybody, do not come for me. I am not telling you not to support anybody, but this is what I feel that we should keep doing. And I know a lot of people are already doing it, from supporting Black businesses, Black makeup brands, Black, like everything, all about us, you know, because nobody wants to be part of us. Nobody wants to be allied. There is nothing like that, actually. And I also do not believe in POC, right? Because it is not working. I mean, so look around, turn around. All the things that has happened, like within how many months, like everything, Black people always at the forefront of everything. Some lost their jobs and all that because they said, I have mouth and I need to speak up with my mouth, right? And they spoke up. Some lost their job. And in the end, we are still the bad people. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.